Inspirational and motivational here at Clubhouse. Get a better mindset and set your goals here at Clubhouse. Educational things you need to know here at Clubhouse. Like credit, home, buying loans, and much more here at Clubhouse. The space for education, motivation, and inspiration. Clubhouse. The space for education, motivation, and inspiration. Clubhouse.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Home Buyers Clubhouse. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jessie Lynn, and it's Friday. I am a realtor with A to Z Realty. Welcome to the Home Buyers Clubhouse, where we go live every Wednesday and every Friday. On Wednesdays, we drop something inspirational and motivational, and on Fridays, we give something educational. Ms. Erica Batts, introduce yourself, honey.
Yes, I am Erica Batts. I'm your mortgage loan officer, and I'm here to help you pay for your dream home.
Hey, y'all, it's Military Appreciation Month. So I'm super excited about today's topic. Yesterday, I went to a class to become a military relocation professional. So I'm really excited. I learned a lot in that class. And Erica, I have so many questions for you for today. Audience, we have some great stuff to share with you guys. So today we're talking about VA loan benefits for active and retired vets. So VA loans are a great way for veterans, really. They are a great way for veterans to buy a home, and they offer a number of advantages over traditional mortgages. So today we're going to discuss the VA loan process, different types of properties. You can use the VA loan more than once, and what you need to do to qualify. So we're also going to talk about some pros and some cons of the VA loan, and we'll also answer some common questions. So let's get started. Erica. So for starters, let's talk about it. What's a VA loan?
A VA loan is loans that have been they're backed by the veteran, so they're backed by the VA, and so basically that just means that it's for active duty service members or veterans, or sometimes like if you're a widow of a veteran, things like that. That's where you can use your VA loan.
Okay, awesome. So let's get started. So before we go into all the fun stuff and all the good stuff, let's just go ahead and lay everything on the table. Everyone, they always have the question, whenever it comes to any loan, what are the credit scores whenever it comes to a VA loan?
So that's kind of a twofold answer. So
Okay.
A lot of times the credit scores depend on the financial institution. Technically, VAs do not have a credit score requirement. That's according to the VA guidelines. However, most lenders will then impose a credit score of 580, and I have seen some go as low as 500.
Okay, awesome. So I got a question now. This may or may not be true, but is it true that you may get a lower interest rates with the VA loan?
It depends. Most of the time, it depends on what the criteria is. Most of the time, it's right around. It may be like a quarter of a percentage point lower than a regular loan. So it's really just going to depend on as far as that answer.
Okay, awesome. So, all right. So this one right here, this question right here, as far as VA loans, I learned, and I mean, I knew some of these, but one I was really surprised by. So, I learned about the different types of properties that you could buy with a VA loan. We have single family homes, of course, condos,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have
Yep.
townhomes, manufactured homes, and I was really excited to find out that you can get a multi-unit property. I thought you could only do that with an FHA.
Nope, you can do that with a VA loan.
Okay. So how does that work? I mean, is it like, do you need anything extra? I mean, how does it work? I mean, how can I just go and get a four unit property? How does that work?
It really works the same way as an FHA loan. So it just depends on what, like, if those properties are rented, sometimes you can use the rental income in order to be able to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really kind of your main thing. So you just have to be able to make sure that it's affordable for you.
Okay. And you must I'm assuming that you must live in one of those units, right?
You do have to live in one of those units. That is correct. So you can't use a VA loan to purchase investment property. Now, that's not to say that you have to live in that house the entire time, but so if you then get stationed somewhere else, you can then turn that into an investment property, but you cannot purchase it as an investment property.
Girl, yes. I was so happy to hear that. You only have
Hmm.
to live in there for 1 year. And I was
That's
just like,
correct.
what? So yeah. And that was one thing that I learned in the class was that we were talking about how to teach our clients to look at the property in the long run. We talked
Hmm.
about whether to decide whether you're gonna buy or you're gonna rent, right? So if you're buying this property, you need to have an exit strategy. You need to look at this property as if you are an investor. So and we kind of talked about different ways to make sure, same thing, make sure you're fixing the property up, you're doing the right updates to the property, different upgrades, because you want to look at it in the long run as an investor. And are you going to sell this property? Because that was one thing, they encouraged the vets not to sell the property because it'll be a good way to retire and for you to have different investment properties along the way. So I was just kind of curious about how did that work? Because like you say, I know the income got to be there, but is that one of those situations where you can use your income from your rentals as income when you're pre-approved, or how does
That,
that work?
that is correct. So you can use your income once you're pre-approved. So they would take 75% of the rental income. So if you're getting $1,000 per unit for 3 units, then we can use $750 for each of those units as income to help you qualify.
Awesome. So, earlier this year, I had a vet who was buying a fixer upper. This is not his first fixer upper. That's what he wanted. He wanted a fixer upper. So, is it true that the VA will finance homes that need repairs?
It depends on what kind of repairs.
Hmm.
Sometimes if they're structural repairs, they won't. But if it's something where you can say, okay, well, I need a new floor for the kitchen. Now that they may be willing to do. So it's kind of on a case by case basis, and it's something that you submit to underwriting and say, hey, is this something that they're going to be okay with? Because I've seen some where like they want to put in a pool. Well, that's not structural. That's more cosmetic. So no, they won't do that.
So, my question to you is it a max on the amount of repairs that's needed? Because I think I heard
Uh,
something about 10% max of the purchase price.
that is generally true.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So another thing what a lot of people don't realize also is your VA loan can also be used to refinance an existing mortgage as long as you meet the lender's requirements. How does that work?
So if you have a loan, like let's say that you got an FHA loan for whatever reason, and now the rates have gone down, you can refinance with your VA loan. Now, in order to get a VA loan, you do have to have like your minimum active duty service requirements. Like you have to have served for at least 90 days if you're active. And then if you're a veteran, it's going to depend on when you served because there are some people who I have one person who served in the 40s. So he served in like World War II. And so that his is still like 90 days. But then like there's other ones where you may had to be an officer and you had to have 181 days. So all of that is going to depend on when you serve, depends on how long you had to be active in order to be able to qualify for a VA loan.
Okay, that's good to know. That's some good information right there. So only 90 days, huh? And how long you served when you were there?
And
Or
it's when you
when?
served, because just like
Okay.
if, like I said, the World War II person, he had to serve 90 days, but I had somebody else that served in the 70s and they were an officer, so they had to serve for at least 181 days.
Okay. What about the people that's in the reserves? They got to do a little bit longer, right?
They generally do have to do longer for reserves.
Yeah, I
So
can.
it depends on when you serve. So if it was prior to, I think, like the Gulf War, something like that, you had to do at least 90 days. But if it was before that, it's like you had to have so many service hours, you had to have other things.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So this is a big one. What about purchasing land? Can you use a VA loan to purchase land?
You know what? I have not had that happen. So I will tell you that I'm not sure.
All right. So what I have here and what I heard was a VA loan also can be used to purchase land as long as the land is intended to be used for a home. Now, I don't know how true that is, so y'all may want to check with your lender or whoever. But that's what I heard. That's
Yeah,
that's what I
I've
heard.
never had anybody try to purchase land, but I'll check on that for you.
Yeah, and it was surprising to me as well, and I've never thought about that. Like, okay, well, I have my VA loan. Okay, well, let's go look at some land. I don't usually have too many vets or um well, of course not active duty, but I don't usually have too many vets that actually wants to purchase land with their VA loan. So I'm sure
Right,
it's rare.
because generally you're supposed to occupy it within 60 days.
Mhm.
So I guess you have to start on that process within that 60 days.
Okay. So another thing that I heard yesterday also was you can use your VA loan more than once, and we kind of just touched this.
Mhm.
But let's talk about the Erica. How can you use your VA loan more than once? What are the rules and the stipulations around that?
So generally the rule is like it can't like you can't buy two houses within the same area. So if you're in Goldsboro, you can't then buy another house in Goldsboro. But if you got transferred to Georgia, then yes, you can use your VA loan again. It depends on how much entitlement that you have left. It usually
Mhm.
has to be more than $140,000 for that second home in order to be able to qualify.
Okay, can you explain to the people cuz I know I've heard people say, I don't even know, how much I have. Explain to the people what an entitlement is. What is an entitlement?
That's basically the amount that the VA has guaranteed. So a VA loan is basically where they are guaranteeing that the lender will get paid if something happens to this house. Or if something happens to you, you decide, not to pay for it or whatever. So that's why it makes it attractive to lenders to then say, yes, I'll give this person, we'll do this VA loan for this person, just because if I know I'm going to get paid, then my risk is less. So that's why your interest rates are sometimes better. But they give you a certain amount. So you can qualify. The first loan you qualify based on your income, all of that. But when they do what they call bonus entitlement, that's saying that okay, you only used a certain amount of your entire entitlement. And then a lot of people don't know there's not a limit on a VA loan. You can get a VA loan $1 million if
Yeah.
that's what you want. So as long as your income can qualify, you can get it.
I'm glad you said that because I was supposed to ask you that earlier about the limit. So yes, yes, yes. So and for those of you guys just tuning in, just as a reminder that there's no minimum credit score for a VA loan. But most lenders they typically ask for a 620 or higher. And
Hmm.
yeah, 620 or higher, and it may result into lower interest rates. So also when you are deciding to buy this VA home, or whenever you decide to purchase, well, especially if you are in the service, right? You definitely want to decide if you want to rent or you're gonna buy this home. And there's a calculator that you can use online whenever you decide to do that. But you definitely want to have an exit strategy. And we were talking about doing rentals or whatever. And what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to rentals is there are different types of rentals out there. So are you going to have a long-term tenant or are you going to do an Airbnb? A lot of people don't realize one conversation that I was having with my buyers one time, and I was like, you are right. You know, even with the people that's going overseas or they've been deployed for a while, they could
Mm-hmm.
use their properties and do Airbnbs, and that'd be a good way to make some money as well.
Right.
So yeah,
And then you
definitely
also have to
go
look,
on.
when people are PCSing in,
Mhm.
sometimes they need a place to stay for a little while. So a lot of the veterans that, I've worked with before, they will get on a list at the base. And
Mhm.
then, when people are PCSing in, which is basically for non VA people, that's when people are assigned to this new unit. They're usually there for a few months before they, to allow them to find a permanent home.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's a dope thing, and it's good. There's a community out there, for people. And one thing, discuss what's a certificate. And I may be moving ahead of myself. You know what? I'm
Okay.
gonna stick to my notes because I don't want to actually tell them what's a certificate of eligibility.
So we often call it a COE, but that is the form that will tell us how much you are then approved for. Like, so normally it's like $36,000 is the amount of entitlement that's on there. That's saying, hey, we will guarantee $36,000 on this loan. So that's something that you would then request from the Department of Veteran Affairs, and you can go on there and they will print out so it tells us when you were in what branch of service that you're in. It also tells us like what you qualify for, how long you were there, those type of things. And so that's what we need in order to present that to the VA to say that so that they will guarantee up to that $36,000 for you.
Okay, and let's talk about this. Let's talk about income that can be used as, let's do active, and let's discuss someone that's retired. So
Okay.
how is the income calculated for someone that's currently active in the military?
We calculate whatever your income is. That's on your I forgot what they call the little form, your DD-9 form. So we
The
will calculate whatever that is there, and then we also look at things like your BAH, which is your housing allowance. So we can calculate that. If you have things for let's say that you were also in school and they're paying you to be in school. So sometimes we can calculate that. It depends on how much longer that you will have, that you will be entitled to that benefit.
So yeah, I learned yesterday that about what 21% stay on base.
Mhm.
Military families stay on base, and when you stay on base, the military keeps your BAH. And again, that's your basic allowance for housing.
Mhm.
Each city, each base, they have different rates for your allowance for housing. So whenever you stay on base, the military, they're keeping all that money. But what I did learn was that your allowance, if you go off base to go get a house, if the house costs less, if your monthly payments are less or your monthly rent is less than what they're offering you, you get to keep that difference. So and I also learned that whenever they calculate your income, they're calculating your housing allowance plus your base income. So that's a plus. Like, yeah, like extra income. So my
Right.
question to you is, Erica,
Now,
so
keep in mind also that number can go up if you have dependents or a spouse.
yeah, yes, definitely. So, and also let's talk about the people that's transferring out. So, that, and this is why you need to make sure that you have an exit strategy as well, because let's say if you transfer from a base that had you have a higher allowance, and then you go into a base with a lower allowance, you can't use that allowance if you decide to keep the other property as an investment property. So you're going to need to decide, like, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to pay for the other property? So that's why it's very important for you guys to have an exit strategy, especially if you get transferred from one base to the next, because your income is going to change. Well, your allowance is going to change.
Right.
So let's talk about pros and cons of a VA loan. Because I don't want to. I'm just gonna stick to my notes. Some pros and cons of VA. Number one is no down payment, competitive interest rates, limited closing
Yes.
costs, and
Hmm.
no PMI. And I know that's what a lot of people like. What is a PMI, Erica?
That's your private mortgage insurance.
But what does that
And so,
mean?
so what that means for conventional loans and also like FHA loans, things like that, that's an additional fee that you have to pay monthly, in order to guarantee that in the event that you default on this loan, that we will get paid as a
Yeah,
lender.
yeah, and looking at the closing disclosures, it looks so low, your monthly payments, and then you look at the bottom and be some extra numbers added on. You're like, hold on, what's all this? That's what
Right.
that is. So, yeah. Okay, some cons. So, some cons is you may have to pay a funding fee. The
Hmm.
VA limits are lower than conventional loans, and the VA loan process can be more complex. Some other stuff, as a real estate agent as well is, some sellers they are afraid of VA loans, and that's why it's very important for you to have a a a, a representative, a real estate agent that can explain to the seller, why it's okay for you to use your VA loan and the benefits of you using your VA loan. Because one thing that you have to do whenever you're writing an offer with the VA loan is you have to have an addendum. And they see that addendum, they automatically assume that you're gonna back out anytime and take all their money. And there are ways around that if issues and certain things come up. And also, as you have a good buyer's agent that can walk around the property to see chip paint, okay, this chip paint, this may affect your loan, different things like that, and can kind of prepare you mentally. And the same thing as far as the appraisal and the repairs. It's just I know certain military markets. I know myself as a listing agent in the Goldsboro market. I do try to prepare my sellers. Okay, look, you are in a military town, so you definitely want to make sure that these things are done before you list this property.
Right.
Okay, you got anything you want to add to that, Erica?
Not really, but I haven't had any problems with VA loans.
Hmm.
I've done VA loans and they're usually, pretty smooth as long as so you prep people and let them know what to expect. Like you said, with the chip paint. Or I know like manufactured homes, they have to have a structural engineer report, stuff like that. So as long
Hold
as so
on,
you
fish
kind of
pause. Rewind that. What? Wait, say
Mhm.
that again.
So if you have a manufactured home,
Hmm.
they're required to have a structural engineering report.
What does that mean, Erica?
So that means that a structural engineer has to go out and to make sure that this property is safe. So it has to make sure that it was set up correctly. Like, when they put it on the foundation, that they remove the axles, all of those things. So they just have to make sure that this is a safe property.
Wow. So do you guys send out the structural engineer, or is that something that the buyer's agent need to do or the buyer need to order?
Usually the buyer's agent will order that.
Okay, awesome. So and one thing that for the sellers out there that may be watching this video also about a VA loan, y'all need to understand that whenever it comes to VA loans, um we're not ordering, the buyers are not ordering the appraisals. The banks are ordering the appraisals.
Right.
And it's not like a VA appraiser. It's a regular appraiser that's going out. They may be VA certified possibly, but it's an appraiser that's going out. But they add like sometimes that the appraiser is hired, they work for the VA. And a lot of people
No.
don't understand that.
Well, that's just like with an FHA. So even with an FHA loan, that appraiser has to be certified in the FHA rules and guidelines because those guidelines are different than a regular conventional property. So it's the same thing with a VA loan, but just I think a lot of people are scared, when they hear a VA loan because they do think, oh my God, this is going to be a lot of extra work but it's just really a pretty similar to an FHA loan. Like you have to have that chip paint fixed. If you have more than 3 stairs, there has to be a handrail, stuff like that.
Awesome. And some questions that you guys you want to ask your loan officer whenever you go talk to them, and you need to be prepared. So you should ask your lenders like, what is my basic BAH, your basic allowance for housing? How much can I borrow with my VA loan? Because some people don't know that. Hold on, we got a comment in the comment section. Hey, girl. Hey, Samantha. So
I
yeah,
will
some
say,
questions that you
as
want to
far
ask is what's your
as
VA age? How much can I borrow with my VA loan? What are the
mhm,
closing costs associated with the VA loan? Do I need to have a down payment? What is my credit score? Wait, what's the credit score required? What are the
mhm,
terms of the loan? What are the fees associated with the loan? Believe me, they are different. Me and Erica had this conversation the other day.
right.
What are the closing costs associated with the loan? The interest rate, prepayment penalties, early payoff penalties, and what are the benefits of using your VA loan? And also, what are the drawbacks of me using my VA loan? You got anything you want to add, Erica? Thank you, Samantha.
No, but a lot of times your BAH, most of the time they already know what their BAH is because it's on their paycheck.
Awesome. There you have it.
So
So,
that part of it, but definitely have a conversation because I will tell you that I have talked to veterans that they didn't even know that they could get a VA loan. You know, they still thought they had to have XYZ amount of money down, all of that. And a lot of those costs are covered. Like, you know, you do have to pay some closing costs. Another benefit of the VA loan is you don't have as many closing costs as you do with other loan types.
yes, and that was my next question for you. What is some information? What kind of takeaway can you give our not our active members? Like you said, their information is there,
Hmm.
right there in front of them. What can you give someone who's been out of the military for a while? Someone who may have used the VA loan, someone who may not know how to use their VA loan, they are afraid to use their VA loan. What kind of advice could you give them?
I would say, give me a call on it because it's a lot of times it's not as scary as like if you can't get your COE, then we can. Things like that. So we can help walk you through a lot of this, and it doesn't cost you anything to get the information. Because just like I did a veteran probably about a year and a half ago, and like I said, he was one that he had no idea that he could get a house, and it was just like during the conversation that I was having with him, and he was like, "Yeah, because when I was in the service," and I was like, "Wait, you were in the service? Well, why aren't you using your VA loan?" And he said, "Well, nobody ever told me about it, so I don't know how." And so
Uh,
we were able to get him into a house for like his situation. I think he paid about $3,000 where he was trying to save, this $15,000 or whatever. But he had the $3,000 and we were able to get him in and everything for that.
Okay, so let's talk about that though. You just said COE. Some people don't know
Mhm.
what a COE is. It was weird in the class yesterday, the PCS, and we saying the BAH, and
Yeah.
retired
So
people
they,
from the military. That was like, oh my God, it's so weird hearing these terms again. So explain
yes.
to them again what's a COE.
A COE is a certificate of eligibility. So that's what we get from the VA to tell us if you are eligible, what your entitlement is, if you have already used your loan before, and let's say that you had a foreclosure on your loan 10 years ago, but that doesn't mean that you can't qualify for another one. So then that I would need to see what is your bonus entitlement. So most of that information is available on that COE. You can get your COE from the Department of Veteran Affairs, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can contact your loan officer, and then we can help you get that.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much, audience. Do you guys have any questions, any feedback? Drop it in the box below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Erica, that was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot.
It's I'm gonna say VAs are they're special. They are, these people have fought for our country, that it is well deserved. I
Amen.
actually love doing VA loans.
Good. See, you have a lender that enjoys doing VA loans. Many vendors don't. So, yes, contact Erica if y'all have some questions about a VA loan. And again, thank you guys so much for your service. Thank you for serving our country. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you, and gals. Um,
Yes.
yes. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jessie Lynn. I am a triangle realtor with A to Z Realty. You can reach me at 919-818-9854. Miss Erica Batts.
And I am Erica Batts. I'm your mortgage loan officer. You can reach me at 919-608-7916, or you can reach me at ericabatts.com.
And you can reach all of us in the clubhouse at www.thehomebuyersclubhouse.com. You can find us on Facebook, in our group, and on our private page at Homebuyers Clubhouse. You can find us on YouTube. Thank you guys for all my new, all of our new YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you. Yeah, we hope you guys have a great day. Have a safe weekend, and we'll talk to you guys later.